The biggest problem is when you exactly try to translate from your native language to English language. And believe me, it cannot make you fluent in English at all. Because just imagine what happens to your body, to your mind when you try to translate from, let's suppose, Hindi to English. Ki, like sometimes in the sessions, people ask, वो बैठा हुआ है, उसने रेड कलर की टी शर्ट पहन रखी है, इसे हम इंग्लिश में कैसे बोलेंगे? सो द फर्स्ट थॉट यू आर गेटिंग इन योर माइंड इज हिंदी. सो यू आर trying and you are searching for the words, even if it is not suitable there, but you are going word to word. I'll be giving many examples that how it happens when you go word to word. It sounds so weird, but why thinking in English is very important, why everybody talks about it. I'm not the first person who is making video on it. There are many. So when everybody is talking about this, then this is important. And I will be trying to make you understand this with few examples that why it becomes crucial for us. One day my brother was telling me about an incident. He actually lives in Bangalore, and you know that in Bangalore, English is the common language, or it's not that people speak so well, it's just that they don't have any other options. So a girl was there. Just okay, before you think or imagine anything in your head, I'm not criticizing anybody, I'm just trying to set up an example here that what happens when you think in your native language. So she wanted to say कि मेरा सिर घूम रहा है. Now before you listen to the statement she made, you think how would you make it. So मेरा सिर घूम रहा है, तो you will not find what we call घूमना in English. You will search for the right expression instead. So the line she said was, my head is rotating Ray, and Ray is, you know that it's the tone of them. So she was saying that my head is rotating Ray. So it's not that it's rotating, you are feeling dizzy. You feel dizzy, you are feeling dizzy, you have to use the word dizzy there. So these things come by, I won't use this word. I think, I know that this word is, this sounds so dangerous to some people, and this is practice, but no worries, I'll try to replace it with some other words today. So in this video today, I'm going to share 5 tips with you that will really make you think in English faster. So I use the term think in English faster. Everybody thinks or can think in English, but when you start thinking it faster, when things start striking in your head faster, then this is the miracle, or it's a magic. But before I speak about those tips, I want to mention something. You might be wondering, if you watch my videos regularly, you might have heard me saying sometimes that when I started this journey of becoming fluent in English, when I started everything, so I have mentioned that whatever I used to do, if I used to cook something, if I used to do any kind of household work, I used to talk to somebody, I used to observe the people. So every time I used to think in my mind that, okay, sometimes I might have thought that if I'm able to say this particular thing in Hindi, then why can't I say this in English also? But there is a difference. Every time I did not used to interrupt myself that, for example, if I used to cook that, now I'm going to roast it, तो अब मैं इसे भुनने वाली हूँ kind of. So I used to stop myself then and there. For example, I'm saying that I put the things here, I arranged that, I mixed that, I prepared the batter, and now I know that batter cannot be roasted. Sorry for that because nothing is coming in my head. But now I'm going to roast it. तो अभी मुझे नहीं पता कि भुनने की इंग्लिश क्या है, तो अब ऐसा मैं नहीं सोचूंगी कि मैं इसे भुनना चाहती हूँ या मैं भुनने वाली हूँ. तो it was not like that. But I used to think for the alternatives. The only thing, there is a difference. When you are giving yourself a paragraph in Hindi and then you are translating the same paragraph in English. This is the worst way to learn this language. And never ever think that you can become fluent in English. Sometimes some words are okay that you cannot find it, but you struggle to use or speak the same way in English also. So one thing I already fit in my mind when I started, that I can speak the same things in English language also, but I cannot translate it word to word. And you don't like it even. I gave you the example of that my head is rotating. You have to use that I'm feeling dizzy instead. So how do you find all those things? The question is, the biggest question again is, how do you find all these things? So before I give you a lecture or I preach you about this, I would say, when there is a will, there is a way. When we want to find something, it automatically comes to you. So you don't need to ask many people that suggest me the best book. Sometimes I get DMs on Instagram that suggest me the best book. So a best book, it means what? You don't want to do anything, you will find the best book in the world, and then what will you do? It's not like you will, there was a cartoon of Doraemon that Nobita used to use the bread, and he used to print the things in the bread and he used to eat that. It's not like that. It's a process, and when you trust the process, when you go step by step, then only something happens. So if you're really looking for the question that how can you do it, the only answer is give yourself a good exposure. वन मोर एग्जाम्पल, आज बहुत गर्मी है, ठीक है, इट्स वेरी हॉट टुडे, दैट इज़ द राइट आंसर, दैट इट्स वेरी हॉट टुडे और इट्स टू हॉट टुडे. आज बहुत गर्मी है. हाँ, ओके, वन मोर थिंग. लोग हम हिंदी में स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं कि आज बहुत गर्मी है, तो आज को हमने पहले रखा है. अब ये वे ऑफ सेइंग क्या है कि जो हमारी फेज ऑफ द डे होगी वो लास्ट में रखे तो इट साउंड्स बेटर. तो टुडे इट्स वेरी हॉट, इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट वी से इट्स वेरी हॉट टुडे, इट्स माई बर्थडे टुडे, इट्स कोल्ड टुडे, और आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू मीट यू टुमारो. पर ऐसा नहीं बोलते दैट टुमारो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू मीट यू. तो it's not that someone can always give you the explanation that why we are doing it, but instead of searching for the why all the time, just learn the way of speaking. It will start coming naturally from you. That is what my point. तो उस चीज़ को अपनी ज़बान से naturally निकालने के लिए you need to have a good exposure. You need to listen to the people, what they are using when they are in the same situation. What if you, like, again, the same repeated things, that watch videos, but watch consciously. It's not that you are enjoying the scene, it's not that you are enjoying the story, but it's all about that you know why are you there. If you know what you are there for, then you will be learning that, and if you don't know, then no, there is no chance. Now let's come back to our point, and I need to share that 5 tips with you. So the first tip is, it's very, very important. You may not consider this as a tip, but this is something very important I need to tell you guys. What happens, like whenever I speak here or when I speak anywhere, so I always imagine my sessions. So the same way, if I try to imagine one of my sessions, or not one of there are many sessions when people do like this. Suppose they are explaining something, okay, they have something and they are explaining that. So they explained 2 lines. For example, how was your day? So I woke up at this time today, I brushed my teeth. अब उनके दिमाग में ये चल रहा है कि आज मैंने ब्रेकफास्ट में पराठे खाए, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. तो अब वो अटक गए. नाउ दे आर जस्ट स्टॉप देयर. So this way, this is delaying your conversation. So instead of looking for the perfection, or that how could you really explain that, what if I speak something wrong, when you have lots of judgments about you, then this creates problem. So the first tip is, do not judge yourself a lot and do not unnecessarily delay your conversation. This is the first tip, because when you delay the conversation, so from the next time also you are going to lose your confidence. This is all about confidence. You believe me or not, but this is all about confidence. I have seen people speaking so confidently with wrong English, but I have seen people, if they have good framing, but they are not confident, they cannot make the eye contact, they don't know, or they get blank. It's because of the embarrassment and shyness. They have all these things. So when you have lots of judgments about yourself, that what if I say something wrong, whether I'm going to frame the sentence, there is a reel, okay, I give you example. If you people are active there, I tell you one thing. So I remember there was a girl, she was in the hotel, and then she was trying to make a call for the food. And then she was practicing that, hello, I'm speaking from room number this, and I want to order pizza or something. She was saying like that. So she practiced that very well. But when she literally called that person for the food, she got nervous and she spoke that, hello, it was a funny reel, but she said that, hello, this is pizza. Means I am pizza, kind of. So this happens out of nervousness. Even if you know something, you cannot speak that. So I okay, the thing that I follow, it's not that I have always been like this. I am also, it's not that I'm really outspoken or I'm extrovert. I like going or I like speaking unnecessarily. I'm not one of them, but I want to speak when I have to speak. So what I follow for this, or what I have been following for this, is keep a warm smile on your face. That will give a good vibes to the other person also, the person who is talking to you, and you will feel just so great. You will gain confidence somehow, I know this. But just imagine that you're making your face as if you're scared and you don't know what you're going to speak, you are sweating and all these things. Just it's such a good trick. Just try once and then you let me know the feedback. You look at the person, make a good eye contact, good one, and then give a warm smile to that person. It's not that you are smiling and you're not speaking anything. Hi there, how are you doing, or how is your day? That's enough to start a conversation. And then you can't imagine that how other person will show interest on you. That's very important. Second tip is describe the things, or pictorial description. Both I'm including in just one point or one tip. Sometimes many a time I have seen people enjoying when they describe a picture. That means you have a picture in front of you and you are explaining that whatever is happening in that picture. If someone is playing, if someone is dancing, or what the person is wearing, what the person is doing, whatever you explain in that picture, people like it. Some people don't even like it, they like the normal conversation. So what I'm trying to say here is describe the things around you. If I can see whatever in this room right now, I may collect that and I will generate a story out of it. Now, one more thing I will include here is when you have the collection of few things, so how you frame sentences, just ask this. I know that if I am making this whole video in English, then definitely I'm not dealing with the basic learners in this video. Okay, so let's just simplify it and I tell you, just describe the things around you. How you see your door, how you see your fan, how you see table, chair, anything. How do you see that, and what do you talk, if the table is looking beautiful, what you can arrange there, how you can decorate it. Boys don't decorate, but how you can manage the things, whatever is in your mind. But if it's difficult for you, then use pictorial description. This is in Google, you will find many pictures that you can describe, and those are interesting one also, because those are in cartoonish form, so you will like it. I just recalled one more sentence. Whenever people describe the picture, there is one line very common, and I always suggest them that speak in this way. Whether you are preparing for IELTS, PTE, you need the habit of describing a picture in a good manner. So there we usually mention what the person is wearing, because we need to give some indications. So we say that the person is wearing a red t-shirt. In this, what problem creates, that लोगों को लगता है कि उसने वो पहन रखी है या उसने वो पहना है, तो the first thought that usually comes in their head is she wears this or he wears this. No, wears, that means it's something you need to understand. Again, way of saying की बात कर रही हूँ मैं यहाँ पे, that it's not word to word translation. You have to say that he's wearing a red color t-shirt, or he's wearing specs, he has that color of hair and all. He is wearing or he has worn, these two options you have. I am standing, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि मैं खड़ी हो रही हूँ. I am standing, मैं खड़ी हूँ. I am sitting, मैं बैठ रही हूँ, नहीं बैठ रही हूँ भी होता है some situations में. But if you ask for my condition, my condition is that I am sitting right now. तो these are the things, I call it way of speaking. मैं कहती हूँ ये बोलने का तरीका है जो हर बार ग्रामर से नहीं आता. Not everybody tells you all the time, but you have to grasp it, you have to observe it, analyze it, and then you need to inculcate it in you too. This is how you do it. So pictorial description में I will include one more thing which is not that interesting, but whenever you get bored, so you can do that, which is that if you learn 10 words today, then create a story out of it. So that is also, some people like it, but not everybody does. So if you like making a story out of those words, do that. That checks your fluency, that gives you the practice of those 10 words that you have learned today. The third and the most interesting one Let me tell you one thing, I'm not prepared at all, whatever I'm going to speak next in front of you. I did think about that, the points or the tips I needed to mention in this video, but the third tip is the cow method, and I'm not prepared about it at all. You will realize soon that why am I saying, repeating this, that I'm not prepared for this. So the cow method is, some people call it connection game also, or I think this is called as connection game. So what you have to do here, if you speak a line, so you have to relate that line from the next sentence and you have to keep following it. Okay, let me give you one example. Okay, I'm also not ready that what I'm going to speak, but the cow method I remember because this is what I make my clients do. If I say cow gives us milk, milk is good for our bones. Bones needs to be strong, and for that you need to go gym. Gym is so much crowded nowadays. Nowadays people are busy in their lives. Life is just so beautiful and amazing when you are happy from inside, and then you need to continue like this, whatever. So you can take some lame sentences also. It's not that, it's everybody's IQ level cannot be same, and you cannot expect from yourself again to speak the perfect sentences. Sometimes iske haath pair nahi honge sentences ke. Just for example, I stopped myself in inside, then I thought that okay, what can I speak with inside? So inside me, okay, I could have said like this, that inside this room I have lots of stuffs and anything that you relate with, okay, but you need to be very calm and patient enough to speak about that. So how do you play this game is, when I said that cow gives us milk, I stopped myself there. Then milk is good for our bones. Bones से ही फिर मैंने शुरू किया. Then I started from the bones itself. So this is how we play the game, and it's very, very interesting because it does not only check your IQ level, but it also checks that how faster you can jump from one sentence to another. And right now I'm speaking at camera, but when you speak alone in the room, you'll feel good, you will enjoy it. Okay, it's such a good game. And record your voice, then listen how did you speak, because if you're speaking and then you will forget what you spoke, it does not make sense. Speak and record yourself so that you can listen to yourself after some time. The fourth tip is, not even a single day you need to leave your practice. Practice as in, depends what do you like. If you like to speak on a telephonic, but this is your comfortable zone, so I would not suggest. If you have the option to get out and speak to people, then do that. Yeah, so not even a single day. Don't say that it's Saturday or it's Sunday, so I won't speak or I won't practice today, because it's a language. Why do you consider it like a special thing, like a separate thing? If you are speaking in your native language, do speak in English as well. So you don't have to skip even a single day, because it's all about practice. Then you go back to the stage from where you started. If you leave, because one day you leave, the second day you leave, it's the same as gym or yoga, because when you start leaving the days, when you start skipping the days, this becomes your habit, and then you don't even realize how the time passes, and you skip for 1 week even. You don't have to do that, 1 week or 2 weeks even. So just keep this in your mind, that you have to practice every day. Find out the people, get the opportunity, and again I would repeat that when there is a will, there is a way. You cannot make excuses that I don't have people, I don't have this, I don't have that. You have everything only if you want. Okay, now the fifth and the ultimate tip is that surround yourself with this language, with English language. When I say surround, it means whatever you see and observe, you start calling it with its English term. Okay, there are many things. Start with the small words. Sometimes I would again repeat that I'm not at least dealing with the basic level learners, if you are, or if you have watched my video till here, because I was speaking only in English, or I am speaking only in English. So start with the small words. Sometimes what happens when we speak to our friends, तो हम कहते हैं हाँ ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, तो उसको replace करते हैं ना, it's okay, it's okay, इतना छोटा तो at least we can say, and the friends will not make fun of us. फिर कुछ ऐसे वर्ड्स होते हैं जो हमने सीखा, कहते हैं ना कि ये बहुत ही ट्रॉमेटाइजिंग हो चुका है मेरे लिए. ओके, ज़्यादा हो गया, नो. सपोज यू हैव टू से कि इट्स इस ट्रबल में मुझे नहीं पढ़ना है, इस इंस्टेड ऑफ सेइंग कि मुझे मुश्किल में नहीं पढ़ना है, तो ये कह सकते हैं ना कि ये प्रॉब्लमेटिक दिख रहा है या ये ट्रबल में क्यों जाना, तो यू जस्ट रिप्लेस दोज थिंग्स। तो वो धीरे धीरे व्हेन यू हैव द हैबिट ऑफ नॉट थिंकिंग इन इंग्लिश, क्यों सोचना कि मुश्किल में पड़ गया है, वो प्रॉब्लम है, ट्रबल है, कम आउट फ्रॉम दैट, गेट रीड। तो कोई भी ऐसी, व्हाट आई वांट टू से हियर कि अगर कोई ऐसी चीज़ है जो इंग्लिश और हिंदी को मैच करके इट्स साउंडिंग बेटर, तो वहाँ पे इंग्लिश को चूज़ करना है। सराउंड योर सेल्फ विद दिस लैंग्वेज मीन्स अगेन कि आपके फ़ोन में जो वट एवर यू फॉलो, द पेजेस यू फॉलो, द चैनल्स यू फॉलो, you mix it with, ऐसा नहीं कि you have a separate means you have you're following all the pages or all the channels, then you'll get overwhelmed. You cannot do that, it will trouble you. So it's better that you mix it, but at least whenever you open any platform, that can remind you that you are in this journey, you are on the way of learning or becoming fluent in this language. That can remind you, that only what I mean. And so your friends, family, these things will help you to become fluent in English, or this is what I mean when I say that surround yourself. You have to think for each and every possible way that can give you the exposure. So the ultimate conclusion of this entire video is exposure. When you have the exposure, you can. Okay, at last I want to again say something. I think I haven't said this for a while. When people come and say with lots of remorse that they are from that vernacular medium, they have studied in their native language, you have to be proud of yourself, man, that you are good at that language as well, and you are becoming good in this language too, and you will definitely become good soon in this language. I trust you. Okay, so what I wanted to say by exposure is that if you look at my pronunciation, means I'm not saying that I have a great way to pronounce things, but I don't have when I speak English, so definitely I speak in English, but sometimes if you see, so people have that tone problem, not really accent, that tone problem they have. And you may not realize even nowadays, like when I talk to people, so they don't believe that I have studied. If they don't know me, because you guys know me, so you know, but if they don't know me, they won't believe me that I'm from a Hindi medium school. I have completed my even 10th at least, and 11th, 12th also I don't consider. So they don't believe. It's because of the flow I follow and the way I present. So again, it's happening because of the exposure I created for myself since my childhood. But I'm not asking you to go back in your childhood, but what I'm just trying to say that look for every possible thing that can make you fluent from all the ways. It's not that you are just explaining, as I said, that you need to explain the things around you, and then you do that, you talk to people. Everything in the world that you can think in your native language, you can think or you can speak the same thing in English also. First you think in the brain and then you do it. Okay, lastly, one more thing, okay, is I know these situations will occur many a time jab lagega ki you have that in Hindi or in your native language, then how to proceed. Stop yourself there. Rather than saying ki right now I'm sitting, अब मुझे इसके बाद क्या करना है, what do I need to do after this, इसको लोग ऐसे पकड़ के बैठ जाते हैं कि अब मुझे इसके बाद क्या करना है। अब उसको वो सोच रहे हैं, 2 मिनट 3 मिनट लगा रहे हैं उसको सोचने में कि इसको आगे बोलना कैसे है। Stop your thinking process then and there. जो निकल रहा है बोल देना है हमें, ठीक है। दैट आफ्टर दिस इतना माइंड तो स्लो किसी का नहीं होता ना, नो टू नन ऑफ अस हैज़ दैट स्लो प्रोसेस, बट एटलीस्ट स्टॉप योर थॉट प्रोसेस देन एंड देयर व्हेन यू एक्सपेक्ट योर सेल्फ टू ट्रांसलेट वर्ड टू वर्ड. Don't do that, and just try to make the conversation calm but little faster, okay, because don't if you delay it too much, as I said, that it will lose your confidence. So don't let it happen and just keep practicing. I know that this word bothers you, but I would repeat it 1,000 times. Keep practicing, don't lose the hope, and just keep doing and doing. Thank you so much, guys. See you soon in the next video. Until then, bye bye.